Welcome back to Sport Lab, where we break down the biggest moments in football. And on Friday night, it was Chelsea taking a giant leap towards the Champions League, edging past Manchester United, thanks to an unlikely hero, Marc Cucurella.
On the touchline, or did you always think the moment the goal would come?
No, yeah, I was quite confident because I know how difficult it is to play against United. They beat City away. They drew at home against City. They drew against Liverpool. They drew against Arsenal. So in big game, they are a big team, and we expect a very tough game. And also, congratulations to them because they play very well. But I was completely confident because overall it was a game, that I had the feeling that we could have a good moment and score the goal.
Well, what is it about their setup, tactical approach, whatever, that makes them tough to play against? As you say, a number of top teams have found them quite challenging to get through.
I used to watch 5, 6, 7 games every time we play against a team. I watched them, and to be honest, I never watched them so aggressive. They were man-to-man, so for us it was very difficult. So again, congratulations to them because they played a very good game. But overall, I think between first half and second half, we deserve to win the game.
So do you give your team credit? It's quite a young side. You've got actually the youngest starting 11 in the whole Premier League for just staying patient in what's a really pressurised, high-stakes situation.
Yeah, stay patient, work hard, because off the ball I think we play fantastic game. Unless I think the first 10 minutes that we needed to adjust things. The rest, I think the team was very aggressive until the end. We tried to press higher, and again, I think we deserve to win the game.
Great to see a goal when it's fullback to fullback. The boys were in here, I don't know, 5 minutes ago, whatever, talking about how it's something that you work on the training pitch.
Yeah. We work. It's nice when you work some solution and then you are able to score. I think Cook already scored this season the same goal against the Wolves, against Brentford. He already scored many goals this season.
Yeah, I think he's on 7 for the season, 5 in the Premier League. So that's a great return you've got out of him. What's that down to?
No, nothing. It's just about the player. That is a good player, very good player. I said many times that it's about timing. It's about to be in the right position, the right moment. And no matter if you are tall, if you are small. And Cook is very intelligent, very clever, and he's at the right position at the right moment.
So I know you've said it's a good season, whatever happens, but how big would it be for this team, Enzo, at this stage of its development, to see this through, make Champions League, and obviously hopefully win a competition as well?
Yeah, but for me personally, the problem is that in general, people, press, you still think that Chelsea is the same Chelsea that years ago. It's not the same. I can understand that people struggle to understand that, but once again, tonight Jackson was suspended. We play with Eric 06 from the academy, and I said many times years ago, I don't know, Drogba was injury, probably Diego Costa play, or Fernando Torres. This is completely different Chelsea. I can understand that people struggle to see that, but we are in the right direction. Hopefully we can bring the club where the club deserves to be, that is Champions League. We're going to try our best, and hopefully we can finish well.
Do you think also that the supporters expect old Chelsea, if that's the right way of putting it? And also, let's be honest, the club spent a lot of money and still spends a lot of money. And that's probably where the expectation comes from. Yeah,
for sure, yes. I don't think since I'm here that we are spending more money than other club. I think at least we are spending the same money. But it's just about building something. We are building something important. People have to trust us because we are in the right direction. The club is working well. And as I said, hopefully in the future we can also fight for important titles.
Well done tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It is for their progress, Chelsea. Champions League football.
Huge. Obviously, the feel-good factor, confidence for the players. And then it's when you come back pre-season, the fixtures come out and you see you're in the proper league with the Champions League and the games come up and the fixtures, the sponsors, the brand of the club. And the belief in the players. When you're trying to, he said they're trying to build something, and he's given Man United credit, saying, "Oh, they played really well." Man United one shot on target, so you always felt if they got the first goal tonight, Chelsea would win it. But huge in terms of rebuilding the club. A lot of money was invested in a lot of young players, a lot of long-term contracts given out, and from to get in the Champions League, it'd be a
different phone calls with players as well, Roy.
Yeah, of course. Attracting players. It's the whole pack.
Do you think it changes then the type of player that they target? Because as we know, they've been targeting the best young players in world football. Does this almost accelerate the project to the next level if they do make Champions?
I think it certainly helps. I think there'll be some players that might just look at, even if Man United don't make Champions League, people will still go to Manchester United because of the club and the enormity of it. So it doesn't always work like that, but there will be forwards that they're probably trying to get just to give a little bit of help to Jackson and maybe defenders that are probably just watching it carefully and thinking it can tip it certainly your way if you get Champions League football. You know, I think players now want to play. They hear the music. They want to be out there. They want to pit themselves against the best. And if Chelsea were to get there, it certainly makes it an easier conversation during negotiations.
Would you be tempted to change the age profile?
I think. I think you'd always try to add one or two experienced players to your group. I know the policy is trying to buy young players and obviously give them long-term contracts. And I always feel in the group, now if they slipped up and they'd missed out, you'd be going, they definitely need one or two experienced players. But if they get over the line in the next game and they do well in Europe, you're thinking, well, obviously the policy seems to be working. But you always feel over the course of the last few months, there was moments where they did lack maybe that experience, particularly in important positions like maybe a centre-half, just to help out along the way. But obviously what they're doing at the moment, they're getting their reward, particularly if they do get in that Champions League.
Well played, Marc. Huge win, big goal in a season that hasn't been short on Marc Cucurella goals. Just tell us the feeling then as the ball smacks off your forehead and you know it's goalward bound.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I think the team deserves this moment. It's true that we suffer a little bit. I think we don't start well the game and then we lose a bit of confidence, but then we know that we need to stay in the game and we have the chance to score a goal, and I'm very happy. Thank you too, my friend.
Reece, when Marc walked in, you said match winner, but you provided the cross. When did you know that you're in business? You little turn, cross, when did you think, okay, we've got this?
No, I knew that I had space and time. I just put it in an area. I knew if I put the ball in this area, this man is always arriving. So no, I'm happy that we both helped contribute with the win today.
So honestly, you expected that Marc might be the one to get on the end of it?
Yeah, for sure. I had with my eyes closed.
Is he telling the truth, Marc?
I don't know. No, but yeah, I think this goal is because we train a lot of times in training. We know, like, if everyone do that, we are training in every day, so we can score. And I think we know that he need to put the ball there, and I know that I need to arrive in this position. So I think it's a goal that we are working during this week.
Yeah, it is like a really satisfying goal, isn't it, when it's fullback to fullback? What is it in whether it's today's game, as Marc says, the work you do in training, the manager, the system that allows that kind of thing to happen?
Right, I think we've been working the whole season. The messages have been clear from the start. Executing them at times has been hard. Today, what we're trying to do, probably paid off, and it looks good. But this is what we do day in, day out. The game was tough. They came here, they went man for man. The first half was super tough. It was quite unexpected. But we we stayed in the game, and we knew we need to come out and score. Thankfully we've done that.
And while we're discussing moments of quality, how well did you catch that one first half? Did you think it was in? Just needed maybe a little bit more cut or whatever on it?
Yeah, it was close. I knew there was a man there, and I needed to get around him, and he was quite wide, so I knew it was going to be tough.
And how's the ankle? That looked nasty first half.
No, it was tough. It was sore when it happened, but I completed the full game.
Yeah. Are you getting more and more confident in your body right now? You've had a run. I know you're not starting every game, but you are having a run where you're there or thereabouts every week.
Yeah, no, I feel confident. It's the most I played in a few seasons. I'm happy to help the team, as much as I have this season, and I hope it can continue and we finish off in the right way.
Yeah, one more to go, Marc, plus a cup final. How big a win was that?
Yeah, it was very important. I think we have been working for these moments all the season. I think we have 2 more games left. Depends on everything, so we need to push hard last weeks, give the last effort, because I think we deserve moments like today, and we need to finish the season strong.
And lastly, for you, Reece, because you're captain of the team, you've seen previous Chelsea teams develop and go on and actually win the Champions League. So how big an achievement do you think it would be for this pretty young Chelsea side to make the Champions League?
No, I think this is where the club belongs. In the Champions League. Competing in the best competitions. I have no doubt. A lot of people like to write us off and call us young and inexperienced. But we played against a very experienced United team today. With a lot of senior players. And we was there. We won the game. It probably wasn't our best game on the ball, but we got what we needed to do, and we walk away with 3 points.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done, guys.
Didn't he, Reece James? Wasn't our best night on the ball, but was there a bit of Champions League quality about the goal, Jamie?
Yeah, there certainly was. I think when you want players on the ball, and we talk about how the modern game evolves and fullbacks getting high up the pitch, that's exactly what they did. And it was so important when they were involved in this, Roy.
Yeah, and obviously a nice switch of play here, and United under a lot of pressure. Strange enough, James doesn't get a great ball here from Neto. He makes him stretch for it and brings him onto his left foot. Garnacho's got to do a lot better, but once he gets in that position and stands it up, brilliant header, brilliant finish, but once James gets in that position, the quality, the weight, some people might try to whip it out, but that decision making, and obviously you need people attacking it, so really excellent goal from Chelsea's point of view.
Cucurella makes it, Jamie.
That's why we've highlighted him. He's involved there, and also like what Moises Caicedo does there. He passes that ball out to the first side there, then he receives it again. You can see he wants it. He changes the point of the attack. Now all of a sudden he gives Manchester United a problem. They've got to readjust, and you can see the defence is now, and Cucurella's found himself in a really good position. Cole Palmer's with him. He has to pirouette here, obviously, Reece James. Now, look, you've got Cucurella's found himself with that gap just behind Lindelof. The delivery is wonderful, and so is the header. It's like Drogba, Diego Costa type. It's really good. But this piece of play, Garnacho doesn't do well enough. Really poor defender from his point of view. But then that quality, can you just lift it up into the right area? Cucurella arrives, eyes on the ball. A brilliant header.
Do you think when someone like Cucurella, someone of his stature, sneaks in between Mazraoui and Lindelof, that they don't pay as much attention to him because of his...
I think they just switched off when they saw James eventually when he had his back to goal. But when he's turned, it was as if they were on their heels. They probably thought Garnacho was going to do a little bit better. But once he gets turns and puts it in there, they are on their heels, and it's a bit of quality. And again, sometimes it doesn't have to be a great cross or a bad cross and cause you problems, but this just gives you every chance. It just stands it up nicely. It's just the right weight. And when it left his foot, we're watching here, you're looking, going, United are in trouble. Just the way that it left his foot, you're going, there's trouble here. Now he's still got to finish it, and he finishes like a striker, hell of a header. And but the quality from James there, but poor from United again, just off it, not aggressive enough at the right times. And Chelsea pressed them. I thought Chelsea showed a lot of maturity in the second half, considering it was a big night for it. They were a bit, obviously nervous. They knew the other score, but they kept the composure. And there was always going to be one goal in it, because United obviously don't score many. And once they got that goal, then it was game over, really.
He's ended up being a great signing, Cucurella, because I think when he came from Brighton, the fee was expensive, like 58 million or something like that for a left back. I think Chilwell, players like that here, maybe just thinking, is he going to fit in? He struggled. I think it's a great example of patience with players, even if they do cost a lot of money, because you sometimes think they're going to come in, hit the ground running. It was the same with Caicedo. You look at Caicedo now, he looks a world-class player. When he first come and the team was struggling, devoid of any confidence, it was very difficult for him. But the left-back, Cucurella, I thought was magnificent. He's aggressive. I think the Euros obviously helped him winning that, gave him that little bit of...
Rome, that, didn't you?
Yeah, he's got that bit of nastiness about him.
But it's also difficult for players to come in, Jimmy, when there's lots of new players coming. They won't, even United players going to United at the moment, they're not going into settled teams, so it does have to be that element that give a player 6, 12 months, even longer to settle into a new team, particularly when there's high expectations. And some of these Chelsea players now, who heavily criticised him, some rightly so sometimes, they're now showing their quality and look a lot more settled.
You saw the celebrations. Do you think that they have a sense that the job is done now?
Chelsea? No, I don't think so. I just think it was a relief that they're obviously they're in the driving seat and they've got a game to go in terms of the league. I know they've got a European game, but again, if you gave them that at the start of the season, they have to go and win their last game. I think they would have took it, because particularly with a young, inexperienced group, which they showed in the first half. There was a couple of times I thought they should have put balls in, they didn't. So they kind of seemed to cop onto that the second half. I think they would have took that. I think they would have had to took that to get in the Champions League with a young group. A new manager trying to settle in. Again, 1 or 2 injury problems. They'll be delighted with that. And they showed a bit of character tonight. We go back to football tonight. There wasn't much goal mode action, but that's where you just show a little bit of desire and a bit of quality to get over the line. And that's why they were so relieved at the end.
Absolutely, but it's made it beautiful now. When you look at that, it puts pressure on Manchester City. They've got to get a result against Bournemouth on Tuesday. Nottingham Forest have got to beat West Ham, and if they do, they know they've got
to 65.
They get a big playoff against Chelsea. I mean, if you were to look at those fixtures right now, I don't know about you, Roy, but I think obviously we don't know what's going to happen next week with Manchester United, but I think I'd rather go to United away than Forest away last day of the season. So it's still...
Might Arsenal even be sweating?
God, now you're taking it to
Newcastle
another level now.
If Newcastle were to win there on Sunday...
But you'd,
it's a big game now, yeah.
But you'd like to fancy yourself, at Southampton.
Could you see Manchester City missing out, Roy?
No, you just think with Pep there and the quality they've got, they're used to this scenario. You think should be able to deal with it. Obviously, Forest will be kicking themselves for the last month or two. But yeah, wouldn't it be amazing if Newcastle go and win at Arsenal? And yeah, it is exciting this last week or two with the Champions League places.
Let's just clear up a couple of the incidents that we saw in the second half here at Stamford Bridge before we move on. First of all, a penalty awarded on the field. And it was a young Tyreek George who looked at first glance that had been brought down by Andre Onana. Roy, what was your reading of this situation?
Well, I thought it was a great run from the kid. And I think he could have been smarter if he just knocks it a bit wider and then falls into the goalkeeper. But of course he gets a touch on the ball and the right decision. We got the right decision. But I think the young kid could have been a little bit smarter. If he had a bit more experience, I think if they knocked it wide from him and he made contact with the goalkeeper, he knows there, look, the young kid, he looks even guilty there, doesn't he?
Did he have a bit of a tough night?
It was difficult for him. He's not a striker. He's played all his career as a young academy player, as a wide player. All the time he's playing against three experienced centre backs. He was trying to run the line. That was a good piece of movement, as Roy said. It was a tough night for him. It wasn't ever going to be easy, especially when you're making your full debut. You want to really play in your best position, but you don't care. You just want to be out there. But the other thing I'll say about that one, I don't know why Onana's going.
Well, that was going to be my next question.
What is he doing there?
If that happens again on Wednesday night and it's a Tell or Son charging through, do you want to see a goalkeeper go after that?
I mean, just stay in your goal.
He'll argue, obviously, made the right decision. But I think a smarter player with a bit more experience would have knocked it a bit wider and fallen into the goalkeeper. So he was a little bit lucky. Listen, he's done that previous. But we got to the right decision. But still, don't give him a chance. Again, mind your own business. Why is he coming out there? Exactly. He just gets a touch of it. So he'll argue all day if it's the right decision.
6 yellow cards as well for Manchester United tonight. I understand that means a £25,000 fine for 6 yellow cards in one game. Might one actually have been a red, Jamie? Aiden Heaven late on.
He's lucky. He's really... I think the fact that the game was just almost just dead at the time, but he lunges in. When you think about some of the tackles, the current climate of what constitutes a red and what doesn't, you can see there, that's late, it's over the top. Yeah, he's really fortunate, but I just think the way the game was winning 1-0, I just don't think it was...
Were they actually both at it a little bit there?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, you're going for the ball. It's an important stage of the game. But if he was sent off, you wouldn't be arguing his case, would you?
No, exactly
if
that.
If he was sent off, you'd be saying, yeah. But
exactly.
Very lucky.
It finished 11-11 and it finished 1-0 to Chelsea. We'll get the manager's response in just a couple of minutes.
Does that just feel really familiar? Lots of good moments, lots of chances, more possession than Chelsea, but ultimately undone in a moment.
Yeah, it was the good things that we talked about before the game. We had some moments. We are improving the way we play football. We could press quite well, and we had some chances, but then one situation, and you can feel it, the same mistake that we suffered a goal, and then almost in the next play we open our defense for the second opportunity. So we are building something, but in the end you need to win games, and we have that lack of aggression in the final third. You can feel it, but we are improving.
So that urgency you wanted last week, particularly in the boxes, lacking again today?
Not so much. It was not so clear. We have our situations. We cross the ball. We have the second balls. So we were quite aggressive today. We need to be more aggressive because you can feel it that we have good build up until the last third, and then we miss something. But we need to work on that, but I think we faced the competition in the right way today. We were competitive.
Sorry, is that an issue for the team? Just looking at the squad, you even look at the team on paper and you think it's one that's going to struggle to score goals. Is that something, when you talked last week about needing to be brave in the summer, is that the area, attacking areas? Do you need to add more goals to this team?
We'll not talk about the summer. The good thing is that in the Europa League we are scoring many goals. So now we are going to prepare the game for Europa League. Of course, we have to deal with a lot of things during the summer. But again, today we was a really good game to prepare also the final. Because if we put some players out and the feeling of the last game is there, almost 10 days without playing, for me, I think would be a mistake. So I think was a good thing for them to play, to feel that they can do it. We can control the game. We can have possession. We can push the opponent. All these small things, I know for sure that the players are feeling in this moment. But in the end, in this club, in any club, you need to win, and we are not winning games.
We're going to react to Ruben Amorim's words in just a little bit. But first, we go back to Stamford Bridge because standing by for us is Gary Cahill. Gary, great to be chatting to you once again. We heard before the game that you weren't so sure that it would be straightforward. Turned out there was just the one goal in it tonight. What did you think of the game? What did you think of the performance?
I thought Chelsea played better. I was here against a game against Liverpool. I thought they were terrific. Today, I thought the start of the game was very slow. They struggled to get into the game and get settled. But overall, it was the result that mattered. It was the result that counted. It was a huge night in terms of the result. Obviously, they've got 3 cup finals, which I said before the show. The game that's just been... Sorry, I can't hear you very well.
We can hear you, Gary. You can keep going. You can keep going.
Okay. Sorry, yeah, so I said three cup finals before the game. 1 just played tonight. Great result. On to the next one. Sorry, I'm really struggling here.
Okay, well, thank you so much to Gary. We are having a little bit of technical issues,
Please,
but we'll see if we can get back to him. As we heard, 3 cup finals. He did mention that before the show. They've won the first of them. Then they go to Forest next Sunday in the last game. Need to win there. Need to win the actual cup final, which is the Europa Conference League against Real Betis.
Yeah, that game there was the toughest cup final they would have, in my opinion. I think... I understand what Glenn's saying. They go away to the City Ground and Nottingham Forest. That atmosphere is going to be incredible there. But it's very. I think the easiest game is where they're going to win a trophy against Betis. You know, I think it's been a cruise up to now. I think this is the toughest game, and it is a cup final. But I can see them winning that. But they need Champions League football. They need that next season to be able to attract some more players, especially as centre forward, which they're crying out for.
Yeah, they haven't been in the Champions League for 2 seasons, hoping to get back there.
Okay. Who wants to start? Samuel?
I know you said you were happy with the level of competitiveness, but that's 18 league defeats now. I think it's the second most of the team that was relegated. How can you reconcile that? Do you have a different feeling on this occasion?
No, we have to. We have full knowledge of that. We already talked about that. Nothing is going to change this season. The best way is to prepare the final, trying to win a trophy this season and prepare the next one. So we know that we are in a season that's struggling a lot, but we cannot do nothing from that is in the past. We need to look at the present. The present is to prepare the final and then to prepare the next season.
After the goal, it looked like Harry Maguire and Bruno Fernandes weren't happy with Alejandro Garnacho with his defending. Do you think the timing of substitutions that had a bearing on the goal, because it seemed like Chelsea struck?
No, of course, Casemiro and Mason Mount just come off and also Luke Shaw then to protect them to the final. That was the thinking, was the final, because we need to make a choice, and them fighting for when we suffer a goal. I think that is a good thing. So good signs.
Laurie.
Roberts' performance feel like top of the class? Does that give you a conundrum for the final, or are you happy with it?
I'm happy. Of course, all the team has to improve, but again, the way he runs, he fights for every ball and loses a lot of duels, wins some duels. He needs to improve the connection, but he's improving. So I'm really happy with him. He just needs to continue to work hard, and better days will come.
Yes.
Ruben, are you happy with the way you managed the squad? Because you played a pretty strong team to start. Are you happy with the way you managed the squad into getting you ready for the final?
Yes, first of all, because of the feeling. I didn't like the feeling the last game. Then we have five days to prepare the game. So it's 2 days to fully recover. We can see video and improve some things. 2 days to prepare a game. 1 day to compete. If I put some players out, the last game I already put some players out. So it was like 10 days without a game. I don't like that. I think the best way to prepare the final, when you have time to fully recover and prepare the next game, is just to compete. And we are in Manchester United, so we need to compete in every game.
Substitute Bruno Fernandes in the 80th minute. Was that because of the final? It's rare to see you take him off.
Yeah, it was everything. I just want a different player there, and of course thinking about the final.
Richard.
You said before the last game you hadn't got your team to the final yet, and that you're concentrating on this one. Has what you've seen with the players you've brought in and everything, is that helped with your thinking? Is that clarified anything?
No, of course we take informations, but then we have to see that is a different opponent, a different context. Sometimes it's different to start a game or to come off from the bench. So of course I took some informations, but it's not clear yet what kind of 11 I will start in the final.
Any more?
Can I just check? Everyone's okay. Ahmed was just fatigued.
Yeah, yes. What I saw in the dressing room, I think everybody's...
First half, chances and VAR drama. The pressure was on. With a top 5 finish hanging in the balance, Chelsea knew only a win would keep their Champions League fate in their own hands. Manchester United came with a surprisingly strong 11 despite their looming Europa League final, and they thought they'd taken the lead when Harry Maguire volleyed home. But VAR intervened. Offside. No goal. Then came Reece James, returning to full fitness, cracking a curling effort against the post. A real let-off for Andre Onana. Second half, VAR twist and Cucurella header. The second half brought more controversy. Tariq George, Chelsea's academy striker thrown into the spotlight, went down under Onana's challenge. Penalty given. But once again, VAR ruled it out. Onana had gotten the ball, but Chelsea wouldn't be denied. In the 77th minute, it was Reece James again, this time picking out a perfect delivery to the far post. And who was there? Marc Cucurella, unmarked, calm, and clinical. A pinpoint header gave Chelsea the goal they so desperately needed. Stamford Bridge erupted. Cucurella, a fullback with just one previous Premier League goal, might have just booked Chelsea's ticket back to Europe's top table. Chelsea defend their lead. From there, it was about game management. Enzo Maresca's side dug deep, kept United at bay, and controlled possession in the dying minutes, a level of composure Chelsea fans hadn't seen enough of earlier this season. United's woes continue. For Ruben Amorim's United, it's another blow in a nightmare domestic campaign. That's now 18 defeats in 37 league games. With the Europa League final on the horizon, their only route into Europe next season might come through silverware. Chelsea, Champions League in sight. As it stands, Chelsea are fourth, above Aston Villa on goal difference and 1 point ahead of Manchester City, though City have a game in hand. It all comes down to the final day. A win at Nottingham Forest and Chelsea will be back in the Champions League in 2025-26, no matter what happens elsewhere. So, is Chelsea's late surge enough to secure European football? And has Marc Cucurella just scored the goal of the season for them? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe for all the latest match breakdowns, analysis, and drama from across the Premier League. Football, analysed. This is Sport Lab.